Bit grainy. I'm losing my voice here, excuse me. What I'm about to do is read off an email. This is going on since 2017, 2018, 2019. So 17, 18. 2 years this has been going on for, and more currently. NHS supply chain home delivery service, right. NHS England is funded. NHS England is a limited company. Head office in Leeds, right. Let me just, and basically, I don't think I'm going to read this. Foxbridge Way, Nuneaton, West Yorkshire. Okay, there's an automated phone number, 0800 030 4466. It's a computer system. I have to delete that alarm. It's just let me know I can't do anything today. It's one of them days. That I need to do on a Tuesday. It's just unbelievable. Yet again, what's kicking off. I'm just trying to change this time on my alarm. Bear with me. It's just, one of those things. Right. So what I'm about to talk about is anyone in my position. This is what you have to be an investigator these days. Right. How the contract works. When you get an email back, you see the nhs.net and the login online for public NHS mail. It's for anything NHS in England. It's a standard email protocol software. Found that one out the hard way. Right, so let's see if I can get into the website. If I can. Well, no, let's not do that right now. Okay, under the terms and conditions of contract, don't anybody else experience this problem. You might have, in my area, it's known as, let me get into that first. And no disrespect to anybody working there. It's not their problem, it's just how the contract works. So this is like an old leaflet and the head office of Northamptonshire Healthcare Foundation Trust. If you didn't know all this works, not just this subject I'm about to talk about. The Foundation Trust head office, St Mary's Hospital, Kettering in Northamptonshire, United Kingdom. So they do provide goods and services, okay? So we got Angela, I think she's still the NHS CEO, Chief Exec, right. Sustainability transformation, did you know that is going to be all computerised? By 2016 and 2021, how to support local people to flourish? Well, unfortunately, in my area, the Health Watch don't do nothing. The voluntary service don't do nothing. NHS CCG does nothing. The contracts via NHS England GP medical practice don't do nothing. You need to put into the computer system, and the QC national body don't do nothing unless it's part of their investigation, bigger picture. So, how is the various? I mean, there are a multitude of goods and services. It's endless what they do, but it's all changing again. Now they've got Twitter, they've got using social media also. Peer support, what is that? Peer support as people have lived experiences of, if you have, well, I won't come with that subject right now, but also I can't even get to access to any other goods and services apart from what I'm trying now. So today was a phone call, a message, and because they award themselves with lovely awards, good on you if you all try and do your best to help people like me, pat on the back, But the problem is, it's not just localised, it's national, right? So that's just a bulletin book of an old book. I haven't had an update because I think they do everything online now anyway. This is when you're physically disabled, and by the way, I do have a hoist. You can see the picture. Yeah, I mean, this has been since 2010. So, this instruction manual. So, health and safety is not quite the same sling. Mine is behind me, in front of me. But that's a massive electric hoist I've got in the corridor. Well, the so-called bedroom. So, and also you don't get a manual fixed like this, by the way. That's the make of my offer of NHS England funded non-CCG NHS in my area already since 2010, that type of hoist. And I have all evidence, paperwork since 2010, 11, 2019 to date, and it's mainly been by emails when there's a service due for any of my medical equipment. So that debunks. So that's the evidence of all this medical equipment. The set-off of the NHS is this. So bear with me, because you have to be your own investigator. Right. The NHS Foundation Healthcare Trust has a multiple services. Right. I've got evidence here. One example. There's over 18-week delay, and it's now 6 months. So this was for a diabetic. I'm not diabetic, by the way, but that's how the service works. They're now merging patient contact centre. Well, they don't respond to emails, and it is NHS England contract, subcontract out to private contracts and other complicated. You have to work all this out eventually. I had to tell you. So you have a phone number. Go to option 1, option 2. Don't you love phone call centres? No, and I struggle with phone calls. So I never received any response to, because going back on the 8th of April 2019, I was still not received any response again. This department is known as Highfield, Cliftonville Road, Northamptonshire. Chief Exec is Angela Hillary. So it's meant to have used to be known as in-house services in medical practices to do my feet and the nails. I can't cut my own toenails. My feet have got worse since I've got no mobility, even more now. And the offer home visit, it's always a home visit, offer services. So once I know what's what, who's what, ID, blah, 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 whatever it may be, then I can check their ID. And basically today I raised this with a guy who took, because I called from my bed, my mate held the phone, and it was difficult to say to the guy I don't even know, but he meant well. It was really helpful, meant well on the phone. And they call it Patient Liaison Service Department. So I just thought again, clarification. Was delayed to offer home visit offer by DHL, a driving company, delivering parcel company, who has this contract, CEO, nationally for all areas of England to deliver. Bear with me. I have pieces of papers everywhere today, making some notes. It's known as I said, NHS Supply Chain. Head office in Yorkshire, I'm in Northamptonshire, but they have all different areas throughout England and Wales. When you find all this out, I still haven't got the other offer of medical goods and services I need, and apparently that goes through a different funding stream to a medical practice, which I can't get through to my GP anymore. She don't take phone calls because they're using this third-party private company called Dr. Link, and it's an app, and you put your symptoms in there, a bit like 111 number or a website app for UK anything NHS, or you can do private search yourself. And yet it's another company contract out public services. So when I spoke to the guy about that, he was shocked because I'm in arm stress with personal things I'm going through, and you think you'd be able to get hold of your accountable GP. No. This was 16th of the 5th, 2019. It's been like that ever since. Because of the changes in terms and conditions of NHS England their 10-year plan. And this is reality of somebody that is trying to access goods and services with full disclosure, because it's complicated, because it's NHS health care services combined. That branded wording, it's complex, because when you bring it into statute law, the Care Act 2014, it combines everything. But when you realise how complex each section needs to be broken down for those offering goods and services to vulnerable disabled people, and I'm getting phones go off all over the bloody place today. It is complex when you need to know what changes are going to affect yourself personally or your loved ones or family, the cutbacks and services on top, and who are now in the same position. So your old contacts by email or phone might have changed. The way I found this out by my mate checking on, there's another business linking app where these men and women, their job roles, head of departments, you get to find these things out eventually when you do research. Or you go into a certain website, what's a contact for a CEO of the company? Because it's all commerce and contract law. Anyway, the assumption was made this. I was delayed in getting this personal medical boxes or items I need urgently, and by the NHS supply chain and company head office Yorkshire. And so you can imagine the consignments, and it's exactly the same every 3 months. I checked my last email delivery. I don't know, I've got the old delivery. Yeah, here it is. So the consignment, I'm unable to walk, self-care. So basically this was 20 December 2018. The route, the load number P3540460601. Nobody called me. It's got a mobile number there. They had 2 mobile numbers, and apparently they didn't update despite my mate did the email of a recent delivery, because I've gone through so much recently and I'm struggling. So there's an order number, delivery route, and it depending when that, it's not the male's fault or female's fault was delivering the goods to your home. It's the way the contract works. And I didn't know this because it's just so complex now when they use an automated phone number. And if you're struggling with calls, you're struggling, like me, more on my right side than ever. So it's exactly the same items. And I really appreciate in my area, this is how it must be frustrating for the people that are working in Manfield Court. I think it's now part of Northampton University. It's getting complex where it's all like things are combined in that area. So there's a particular medical advisory service known as NCAS. They used to have an office on the outskirts of town, but they all merged. Now, this individual, she means well, it's nothing against her, but going back to the old records, I found an old letter. The former years ago, 2013, for example, there's another medical urgent item I need, conjunction with these box of items I need, is now subcontract out a different contract via same NHS England, but the contract is with your medical practice, and they're meant to prescribe by prescription a particular medical goods. And the one I need, I won't go into or bore you with the details, but it's specific make. And I've been chasing this up by letters and tried again. I said that phone call, you can't get through to GP. So the guy today, this is like the last delivery, as I said, I keep the carrier consignment number and the carrier ID, DHL standard, and the pallet ID. It's got NHS consignment code on it, the weight, the route number was 606, JOP and 15 on it, and they scan it. Obviously, you just sign on their digital thing. So this is what's called as home delivery service. Now, NHS supply chain. And when you actually get an email back, you'll see and investigate, go on company's house or check out who they are. You'll find it's a private limited company. I didn't know this till, as I said, started to learn over the year. But my health deterioration, I'd made it clear on the previous email, my friend did it for me, the update phone number. And so the gentleman today, his voicemail at 10 o'clock, I'm not awake then, but anyway, eventually got back to him, and he claimed the delivery was due last Tuesday. It didn't arrive. My mate was here all day with me, and nobody showed up. Not one phone call. Obviously, they're using old phone numbers. Oh, by the way, I've still got this analog phone, the same number. Nobody called on this number either. So what was assumption made today was not factual. I was surprised by that. But I'm half asleep at 11:30, still in the morning, side effects of medication. So therefore, so frustrating. Anyway, and therefore he kindly explained that apparently they run out of the items, consignment items, and I wasn't informed. I didn't get an email, and my mate checks all my emails and things for me when I'm not able to. So when they got the time, that is, on top of everything else. Anyway, claiming suddenly there was an attempt to redeliver. This was a day on, the next day was a, let me just get my notes. Wednesday, 22nd the 5th, 2019. Well, excuse me? What are you doing, DHL CEO individuals? Haven't you informed that there's a disabled individual, wheelchair bound? If I'm not expecting to offer service in my private dwelling, you don't cold call, and the backdoor panel intercom system does not work. You could ring the buzzer, I could hear it go off, but I can't hear anybody because they haven't fixed it. So that's a housing issue, and they still haven't fixed it. And it takes me time to get to the back door. And by the way, I can't do AM, anything AM, till after a set time because of the nature of my care, side effects of medications, blah, blah, blah. That's already gone through. Previous emails and me sent today yet again. So I'm seeking a full inquiry to see what the problem is with the terms of contract, because the gentleman today, guy called just say letter G, said to me in the PALS office of this foundation trust, he'd explained to me that they are having other people saying there's problems, because when you are restricted in time of, say, public service funded care and carers, they're not going to be around to stay all day from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. for a medical delivery, because they're on a time, literally limited on time visits to your personal dwelling, and unless you're in a care home, and unless you've got personal friends that help you and family friends. But my friends, the situation I've got is complex and they struggle as it is. So absolutely trying to imply a cold call visit. What, the next day without even advance notification? I know it was trying to do an emergency delivery, but surely you would realise, again, I would need to get that individual or some individual to give up, change their work shift, change their pattern and the hours they'll have to care for me, rearranged. And I've got no time or advance notification to do that. It's impossible. I couldn't do it in a short time. And I'm not able to self-care. So I wasn't in my wheelchair, and I didn't have the buzzer on, and nobody called me, no emails. So, duh. And so I just explained that again to that guy, and all he could do was try and get a redeliver. Now it's another week delay. So I'm on the last certain items. It's only going to last me 4 days, and I'm going to be without. And so talk about cutbacks and services, and this isn't a medical, it's, you know, items that I really need, and I haven't got the funds to buy myself. So this is a real predicament, and so this is all to do with changes. My voice is going to go because I'm being run down. And as I said, it's not the individuals that are working in these medical fields per se, it's the terms, conditions in these contracts, bidding. You know, they've got to get the bids down so they make profit, and yet people in my position are being put out. Equality, excuse me, is out the window. Equality Act, Statute Law 2010 is meant to be there, meant to be implemented, but when they're struggling with finance and to offer all these services, there's so many like me. This gentleman was said, yeah, we know it's a problem. We're trying to relook at the contract terms and conditions, but they have to negotiate, don't they? With public funds short nationally in the United Kingdom, it is going to be an issue constantly. So I know where I need to be, but it's complicated to get from one thing to another, to do it carefully and safely, to be somewhere where I can, get all these issues not happen. So then there's a place on site that I get care and housing, but the way it works, it's all private. It's not, it's all changes mean secure housing side of things is out the window then. Uncertainty is that national company could go bust, and if you're vulnerable, unfortunately, with high care needs, a lot of equipment you need, then in the public purse eyes, you're seen too expensive, and you're a commodity. You're just too expensive for the system to exist. And that's why all this, you see all this mainstream media, social media, going after cutting care packages down, because there's no such thing as a care statute active as supporting. The only way in my area you may be offered anything is the use of adult safeguarding. And as I've had to learn these things and very quickly, because that's all they're doing now towards me, they need your consent. If you've got your full capacity, despite your illness or disabilities, they need your full consent to do safeguarding. Please don't get me wrong. Every private limited company, man or woman, individual working in their capacity in that role, comes across an individual in my situation, they have a duty of care to make a safeguarding inquiry. Now, when you're dealing with the cutbacks in NHS funding services, no matter what it may be, in your areas throughout England, I can't speak about Scotland to Wales because I'm not different system perhaps, but England, this is how NHS England is selling off the public purse, so to speak, the public coppers, you know? What the hell's the point in paying your council tax or taxes because of the sell-off of the NHS? It's already happening. The CEO of the CEO of NHS England and the CEO of NHS Digital, which is another limited company, they have they're American companies in America. They have shares in those American companies. So the idea of privatization is all come from America and is already here, okay, through the back door. So it's already selling off the estates, the public land, these foundation trusts, and you investigate, these are all companies, it's all contract. But at the end of the day, reality, you're the individual, one's the individual trying to access the services that you can't afford to pay yourself, and then you're left in this predicament. You can't get access to services because the cutbacks, and it's not going to get any better. So in one's area, when you live in a block of flats and it's not accessible, and the way it is now with my situation, the only option, unfortunately, is to see what is available in the limited. Absolutely, literally pulling a piece of string out of like thin air, practically, what is available with the constraints of finance. And that is a problem which I all to date have known all along. So my counterclaim on an email, I'll go into in a minute, is my conditional acceptance of their offer and my read a counterclaim offer and to seek a remedy. What could that be? One does not know, because perhaps these individuals in civil servants, public services, may not know themselves. It comes from above, the CEO level and the managing director level. And they are the ones that know what's available in the public purse strings. And it goes above them further, politically, nationally. It's so frustrating, because when you know it's a contract law, but also it's statute law, and it's just moving forward is impossible right this minute. It is impossible for anyone in my position to get anything you need to have a quality of life in, they call it, community. And so the only easiest answer for the system, I call it, is to put people high complex needs, physical disabilities, high contact care needs, equipment and housing needs into private run establishments, right? Put them all in together, because the cost of the contracts in their eyes is cheaper. But I can't see the logic myself, because across behind me, the kitchen, right, the window, it's a massive 5-story building, millions of public purse spent, yet they sold it off, and yet to raise more funds for adult health social care services. I don't know about children's services, but I tell you, there isn't any services, because I've experienced these meetings. I've experienced trying to get across what I need, but they have no interest. It's all to do lack of funding, cannot implement the duty of care, and therefore they have to find another angle. And this is why I've sussed it all out now. It's all to do with adult safeguarding. So that's why I come back to anyone in my position. Keep recording app on your device if you've got one. Keep a journal, keep dates, everything you need to keep a log of. Your family or friends or someone might be able to help you, whether it's NHS, whatever the subject may be, when you're in my position, because it can get so overwhelming, you don't know which is meant to be offering what. And I've noticed my printer is up printing stuff. Do you not operate? No, thank you. I've got to be careful about the battery on my laptop. So point being is, it's not just the NHS, is it? Is National Health Service. If you're out of the United Kingdom, you don't know what the subject is, you'll find that when you're in one's position, it includes your housing, your healthcare, your NHS, the dental, the medical, the hospital. It's all contracts. So when you eventually work it out, which is a long, hard road to work everything out, that it's all to do with also with finance. So if you're relying on housing, so it's social housing, that's the benefit side, isn't it? Then the benefits get messed up, then it affects your health and your disability, and then this and that and the other. It's a minefield, but when you finally work it out and break it down, it still is a struggle to get that offer. And it's like, it's not just simple of meeting somebody when you struggle anyway with other unseen disabilities. When you have unseen illnesses, and that's permanent and lifelong, be careful to get branded with a label that you don't have and targeted with a big label perhaps, and then, oh, let's have a big meeting. That is safeguarding. When anyone says that, and this is my experience, because there's a lot of changes other than this subject going on, which I can't touch on this channel. And as I said, sometimes it does, from my experience, and I've always thought it was personal. A lot of it can be, but unfortunately, There are good people trying their best, but also what I've also realised, not just the NHS, but people like Citizens of Ice, limited in that says they have employees, volunteers working for them, but they are also struggling. Every service, whether it's public funded companies, NHS, healthcare, housing, the list is endless. They're all struggling. And it's all going digital, AI. I'm not expert in all this technology. I can't get all this operation I need, my dental operation, let alone my shoulder, all these years on. So when also the NHS Foundation Trust, gosh, couldn't even believe this, 10th of September 2018, well, it's gone over the 18-week waiting list to be offered. My mate did this online referral for me. Because I didn't know it's a foot service, you know, it's got a picture of your feet, what the problems are of your feet and toenails or whatever, is to be offered by the NHS Foundation Trust. The contract for this service, is via the CCG commission groups in your town and city, wherever you may be. If you refer to the contact centre, but they have, when you find out who's meant to be head of what department, is so confusing, and what nurse and what public, are they still public funded? It's all NHS England. So the home visit, obviously to me, these individuals and their computer technology system they're using, and it is a particular program software, all the adult health social care link up a certain database. And unfortunately, here I am in May 2019, it's over 6 months today. So NHS National Constitution states if you're waiting over 18 weeks, you're meant to be offered to go private. Privatisation is a joke. But it's meant to be. And I don't know whether that's still offered, because if you're classed as vulnerable in their system, they still need to be CPR checks of any of a home visit if you can't get out to give some services, company offers to your own environment. And it does get like that, where when one goes through this process of in statute law, adult health social care, conjunction with the Care Act 2014, the whole list of questions, by the way, was still not accessible. 40 pages long, was a bit like the Department of Works and Pensions documentation. And the PIT 1, PIT 2 forms and words and what you can and cannot do was similar. So when one's offered the former public servant individual before she left her job, it was trying to go through all that and so much things last year and previous videos, and you'll see on this channel what happened, and then try and replace somebody with equal amount of quality of skills to match my illnesses and disabilities, to assist me, to assist them. All this on top was like, and it's only going through that personal experience that I have this first-hand knowledge to come here on stream, on live, on this date, to state this is all gone. Public services is all gone to private corporations. And so this is where I've been learning about natural health as well. And there's only so much I can do personally on natural remedies and natural health. So we're not relying on the state system in that way as much. But then when you get your toenails go black, yeah, and you have lost a lot more sensation in your physical health, it does get concern. and to put it mildly, and then the environment you're living is not of your doing, it's because you're left in lack of repair. So when you use so-called external, so-called healthcare ombudsman services in investigating the lack of this, that and the other, well, because you learn this factual information, what's going on in the bigger picture, they attack you personally in disabilities, and I'll come into the evidence of that. They now offered a delivery for next Tuesday, but they still haven't offered an afternoon appointment. But this time, I hope and pray, goodness me, that my private friends can try and work out between them who can stay 8 o'clock in the morning when I'm dead asleep to listen out for the delivery vehicle and the intercom going off to facilitate the boxes of delivery, because I need another female to come in. They need two to care for me. Yeah, if I'm still living in here, because it might be a question I might have to. My bags and that side already packed, ready to go. That's how things are going. So, 5 o'clock, yeah. I just realised. Right. So, 13th of the 9th, 2018. By the 13th of the 12th, 2018. Oh, there's another email. Hold on, let me just check what this email. There's always something going on. So, have you experienced dodgy doctors? Have you experienced dodgy offers and services? Because I know of individuals that have and are going through a lot. So let me just go and check something out. So when you educate yourself in the I've just member into a private safe secure group. I'm basically, as a woman and any man out there, of a safe place to raise your concerns about the remedy for care and maintenance and cure. He's not been offered that in adult health, social care, and subjects related to that. And this male individual who's got first-hand knowledge and a channel himself set up, going do a search on dodgy. I can't remember what it's called now, that channel, but I'm not logged into the website on my device, only my other device, and I haven't got it to hand because obviously I'm here. So when your conditional acceptance offer and we counterclaim offer, and I don't know, and I've got an itchy nose, excuse me, and it's all horrible weather, so my mates have got good job. They've done a lot cleaning my flat yesterday and changed some curtains around. They need to do my bedroom at some point, change curtain rounds and get lighter ones on. So there is a website if anybody wants to know about disability rights, and it's very, very helpful. Disability Against Cuts for social media websites, just search engine that, disability. Let me go into this. Disability Rights UK, I don't know, just search and you'll find a lot of useful help information. So let me see if there's anything about this NHS side of things. The immune system runs down when you're ill, so bear with me. I can't afford, I mean, you're meant to have high quality of care, and it's not happening, not just social care. And you might just share your experiences. I've done this before, Quality Care Commission, they don't investigate, so bear with me because they're unable to. And I can't afford there's fact sheets and guides. So Let me see if there is anything on their website about NHS. So let me just do a search on their website. So let me just go into NHS changes. The simple search. I hope. Here we go. So, prescription changes health benefits. Right, we got an item. This is dated recently, 7th May 2019. Introduction. The National Health Service, NHS, generally provides healthcare free of charge. However, there are some. You can also get help with travel costs. So that's, I just wanted to see what else has changed really. Argues for free care for over 65. Again, let me just get rid of that. We have someone above me that's got visitors from the family from abroad. I can't get that phone, I dropped it, I can't bend down. I keep dropping things more than this right side and I make a mess. So good job I've got a carer coming because, yeah, I'm a bit weak. Say the least. It's very clammy weather today. Right, scrolling down. Right, so basically here we go. 16th of April 2019. I've been trying to get this to be in control of personal healthcare budget. And this is also NHS England, right? And I've been trying to access and that funding to have more control, to be in control, and then also reference to personal assistance. And I'm just going on to another. Health and Wellbeing Alliance, working with NHS England, Department of Health and Public England. As part of this, we Alliance intend to help, what I just quoted, NHS England work closely with, promote equality, really. Let's go on to this because that's not happening at the moment. Right. Let's see the date of this article. So don't we can see that. The glare. Back to front, I ain't got another camera to show you. So they are led by disabled people. Well, this is the first time I've heard about this. Being tested, methods to build up, gather and feed, direct, collective voice. Yeah, okay, right. What about equality? And I'm just trying to scroll down to get the key element, what I'm talking about today. There isn't any. It's called person-centered, community-based health and care, promotes equality for all. It's not happening in this area at all, okay? I'm named I've got the evidence for all this. For my area, my experiences firsthand. Enable the voice of people with lived experiences, those experiencing health inequalities. It's constantly happening. National policy is not changing because it's all privatisation. Evidence sustainability, sociability solutions to migrate and prevent inequalities impacting health and wellbeing in communities. That is not specific in your circumstances, it's generalising. That I'm sure they mean well, promote change, but it's not happening. Any comments or ideas how to strengthen disabled people, leading change, get in touch. Yeah, well, what is actually happening? Right, they've got briefings on the website, so let me just have a quick nose. There's no such thing anymore as getting a life independence. Care and support, no such thing. Transport, social leisure, no such thing. Influence public attitudes and behaviours, human rights, it's gone out the window. Stop and hate crime, it doesn't stop. I've experienced this recently. And that individual's moved back up. He's still back in. There's no such thing as independent living anymore, because although it's meant to, still no. The bigger plan, the bigger picture, and especially with Department of Works and Pensions said on the benefit system, is moving people. There isn't a safety net anymore. It's all gone out the window because of the privatisation. It's all about the universal credit. As I said, it's not just one thing. It's not just NHS. It's not just housing, health, social care, everything. Unfortunately, you're relying on the system like one situation. There is lack of opportunities, and of course, going back last year, Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government, DWP consultation, supported housing. There isn't any supported housing. So hello, Home Group Limited. Your individuals suggest that, but where? I investigated this over this past year in 10 months, and before that, and there isn't anything available. And there was, back in 2016, a consultation on that. So I've been trying for years, trying to find somewhere else that's going to be safe and meet my needs. I won't have this NHS problem with delivery of services. I might be able to, the system's all changed. I found this at the end of 2011. Last year. On 6th of the 11th, 2018, I got a video on it where a certain public servant individual, she admitted the serious cutbacks then and the effects on everything combined in people in my position. So disable people's rights, entitlement, choice to discretionary system. I also have to just there isn't any strong support in access to housing. Costs will be funded through the current welfare system, subject to application of existing benefits. By the way, if you move out your location, your area, your borough, it triggers off from legacy benefit, ESA, for example, to universal credit. So all goodwill and intentions of those trying to assist me, suggest this, that, and the other, and offer services, unless they're experienced and know this. Well, when I called up in my area, the housing benefit side, council tax side, individual civil servant, she said she worked for me because I know more than some people that she speaks to. It's only because I've had to find out, because nobody now there's no services out there. There's no advocacy service there, specifically in the contracts, how it works with when you've got the multitude of needs and there's only the contracts. NHS, housing, DWP, so much you have going on, you can only access so much. So basically, UK is not just United Kingdom, though, it's worldwide. Perhaps I can't talk about other places. I can only talk by my experiences. So, the claim temporary decamp, the words decamp in English, simple, straightforward language. It means to a secure tender and statute law that they certain individuals require me to move out of my home. I know what that means. As before, I've got evidence. As before, the old system in the NHS from 2010 was much better. 2011, right up to 2013, and it started going downhill 2014. If I'd known when I ended up in hospital in a serious situation, end of 2017, all this was going to happen further on down the line, I wouldn't have called up a certain public service at all. But there's no choice. When your health deteriorates, now we're moving on forward, I have to look at the future, from here, moving on. I can't dwell on the past, but it's difficult to do moving on one thing at a time when everything is all happening at once. So the way to try and get the psychological mindset broke down one thing at a time, it's crucial, because otherwise your house suffers. And that's no good when the services are not there. So if you don't know about how to, well, just if you got the skills, if you got any family friends to help you to learn about contracts and it's contract law, and to do the subtle little bits you can do to aid you with knowledge, so you know now how things are working and why things are working the way they are. So therefore, if you suddenly find a change and all this is happening around you and nobody's consulting you, and you suddenly say, oh, we need a meeting, get all the agencies involved, you know, it's a funding issue, because your needs are so high, and in their eyes, men and women in their job roles, private or public funded companies, they might be concerned about your personal well-being. You might not be able to see it yourself, or your friends and family might not be able to tell you directly because they don't want to upset you or something, and you might be too ill and worn out to realise yourself. I've had the insight, luckily, to see that might be the situation now, because although the structure around here is fine, but the accessibility now, it is not as what I won't like to change. I can't cope with change, but it's something I need to do. And I know it's going to be a more controlled environment, but it's not the point. The point, you need to be safe. You need to have what limited access services are there now. But the way I require it is a full disclosure, terms, conditions, and contract law. That's just how I work. And the recent offer, just before the bank holiday, was that temporary decamp. Well, I'm going back to square one with the housing situation, because I already offered that last year twice. Hotel around the corner, level access shower, safe room, and yet the problem is the times and the extra time it takes for my private friends to care for me here is going to be impossible in a hotel. And the height of the bed in a certain hotel in the corner, it needs to be a certain height for my medical equipment. So I need the equipment I have here, like the hoists and stuff, to be there. And I'd offered it so many different conversations and so many meetings to a former social worker, a former offer of an advocate individual, and they meant well, please don't get me wrong, but they took no notice. And they claimed to me, and I've got this evidence in emails and stuff, they claimed to me that it was a housing individual blocked the funding to hotel, and I found it wasn't. I found this out. It wasn't. It was to do wanted to come in my private dwelling and to look around, because on the comments of this Care Act and the statutory documentation and the print out 40 pages, I could hardly see because it's too small. Hint, hint. I need a format I can read. It was similar questions to personal independence questions about your home environment. Can you get around? I cannot, if there's a fire, I won't be able to open the window. I can't even on my own. So I have to now look at that situation. So before, I wasn't in that good place to be able to see that. I wasn't able to see that like others can see things. I could not then. And I found some old documents, what my friend did yesterday. We looked back on the old documents and people were raising concerns then. And I didn't know what safeguarding was then. I didn't know what the system was then. It's all changed, isn't it? All this time on, things have changed. And I've changed, and my situation's changed. And it's not going to get any better. I hope it's not going to get worse. But as I'm getting older, I need to look at the bigger picture. And it's not ideal. I know what's planned. So my late mum had to change in ways I can't describe before she passed away. So it's given me, I have to not be so stubborn in my outlook on things, which is a part of my mum's DNA trait. And it's very hard to engage with these individuals, let alone in my own home. because of the negative experience before. So that's why I'm trying to work on me, to try and share my experience and the changes in contract law, the NHS, everything combined with that. It's not just one thing. But unfortunately, when there's a joint meeting, you've got a housing individual representative, you've got NHS representative for whatever service it might be. It might be 2 or 3 things. Then you've got a social worker representative, then an advocate in their contract in those of vulnerable people. So it could be that. So it might be so overwhelming I cannot even cope. Because the last time they had a round table meeting was many years ago when I wasn't physically disabled. I'm a survivor of serious crime years ago, and I won't recover on that. And unfortunately, I live with that lifelong. But because it complicates how difficult it is to explain, I've explained about contract law, basic things, but when it comes to me personally, how everyday struggle is and what you can and cannot do, that's where I have a big problem with. I could be here all bloody day or blinking 3 days or 4 days trying to explain to a computer on YouTube, but I'll be talking like in the third sense because I cannot I cannot put it into reality for myself because it's too traumatizing. There was an email by this women's centre in London. They kindly done for me because I did not realise until last Thursday how serious I'm affected still by the attempted certain serious crime, and how my late mum, bless her heart, and I found these old documents of housing, they have already on the documentation know what equipment I have of my own, and they know briefly what disabilities I have. Now, I found an old document. I was shocked to read this myself, going back 2000, when I met an ex-male friend of mine and got involved with them. Sadly, he turned out to be a nasty piece of work, and he assaulted me in my own flat, pinned me to the wheelchair. The police won't do anything because it said it was my word against his, but they had his DNA and what happened to me, and the former social worker in that time helped me do a police interview by video, and they wouldn't charge him because he has a learning disability himself, but he's worked in his job for years, and it turned out, cut long story short, I haven't got the insight into the dangers in the male sex, and when it comes to personal relationships, if you know what I mean, and that is deep rooted. And yes, I could, like, it triggered off the death of my mum last year, so I didn't know that the GP NHS England funded referred me to a service, NHS England funded again, same NHS Foundation Trust, certain department again, that 2011 discharged me out of their CPA care plan, left me in the care of the medical practitioner and then on medications. But I did not realise my physical reduction in my health can affect your psychological well-being. And so when you're seeing, which is what gets complicated, cheaper option for contracts, for who is deciding what behind the scenes are trying to push off. If you raise these issues and you find things out, knowledge, I think sometimes you don't expect disabled people to have knowledge or to learn things or to find things out by just common research when the help permits. And you might make presumption about your situation and yourself, and that's what they're doing to me. So I have to do rebuttals, require full disclosure what's offered now on, to move on, if that makes any sense. And then also, if it wasn't for the former social worker moving from her position in a job to somewhere else, I could have had that PIP assessment by then in my home, even though I didn't know that I meet the criteria in statute law for a paper view, a paper medical assessment by paper. And the key document last week, this London charity individual, she worded it quite clear, the effect of this serious crime all these years on, and my physical disabilities and the strokes I've had. And it's frustrating when these words are not used on your medical notes. If you end up in hospital, if you're not referred to the right people, if you're not referred and the right words are not used on their documents and computer systems, you're not going to be in another NHS, healthcare, whatever subject might be. Those individuals are not going to see the key words they need to make a key decision to assist you in your situation when assessment comes around, because that also falls critical to absolutely get the right services you need in your daily life. Now, moving on. So, yeah, I think I have piles of paperwork from years ago, and not all of them. A lot of them's been, there's only 2 boxes left, and but the files or other paperwork, it's so important to keep certain documents. And now I'm trying to my mates have to come in to open my windows because it's so bloody humid, and I have to keep hydrated. Anyway, secure tenure in housing too. So, Landlord and Tenant Act 1985, Section 11. Everything combined with Protection from Harassment and Statute Act 1997. Everything in your situation might need to be transparent, and that's all I'm trying to do. Is I was like, seek the clarification, seek what I need. 5:30, need to go. It's been an hour, and I need to rest. So, I have a temperature. So anything to do with disabilities, anything NHS, anything you may require, just get out there, and if you're able to, because there isn't any supported housing. There isn't anything available. The attitudes, the lack of opportunities, reality means what I've experienced recently at weekend is going to influence this individual. I knew I was being targeted, and I know what's behind it. And it just wants me at my own. And at the end, I'm not giving in. It's just I need to move on. May 2019, I reoffered housing individuals being used, third-party individuals being used to come into my home to redo a thing you didn't do right. So that's where it comes into conjunction with adult safeguarding. So this is a private housing company, for example, and the reason they blocked the repair is a bit complicated. I can't go into all that right now. So let me go to the inbox, important inbox. So therefore, you don't, I'll just talk then, I've just got some more emails. No, it's not relevant. Right. So therefore, you don't get a bank holiday, an email on bank holiday by a certain house individual. And her typing is so small, I can't read it. So an individual in my area since 2017. I've got so many emails and paperwork on this, is unreal. Anyway, the presumption about all these incidents, all this antisocial behaviour, the police won't do anything because obviously they went after the guy, but he's been let out and he's been protected, whatever, because my mate witnessed somebody out the back earlier, and that individual's in his late 20s, and what he targeted me with on Friday, 8:45 p.m. to 11:39 p.m, 5 times. Then the main flat door, well, the corridor, was kicked in, the glass was broken again. So then again Saturday, 6:40 a.m. in the morning, 7 a.m. in the morning, and I've got audio evidence of all this, by the way. So therefore, the B9 for me to cause all this directed at me and affects my health. So on that health and safety point of view, the housing side of it all and the individuals will treat this as sort of nothing, but another reason why it's better to move somewhere else. But where at the moment, I don't know. So this individual was inquiring, and also, why is a police banging on my door when they already know my situation, who I am, where I live? So I haven't been in a good place to be able to respond. So my mate did a quick response yesterday to this house individual, or reference a certain male, and in my block of flats. So and then I just, going back on, I re-offered this gas service offer to my home. Going back, let's find that email, can find it. It's frustrating with everything going on because 15th of May, for example, I'd produced this factual evidence. And the Home Group Limited is a company, by the way. So this, again, they don't want you to know these things. The Housing Ombudsman, again, is a national company. So you don't get anywhere. It's all corporations, companies. So going back 27th of 10th, 2017, they did not want to repair the wet room. And the weather's all going really dark. I think that's why it's all humid again. Right. Head office, 2 Gosforth Parkway, Satyrs Lane, Gosforth Business Park, Tuesday 23rd to 10th, 2018. Wednesday the 10th to the 10th, 2018. This is all just when I come out of hospital, by the way. And the claim to be offered them a temporary move at my home to a hotel that was never ever was accessible. So all of this company house number for Home Group Home Housing Limited company number is 03402204. They don't want you to know this thing. So it's a recount claim offer. And they're using this area, well, it's not my area, but they work online and they call it Peterborough office. It goes back to 2017 March, when a male from their Home Group Limited company and a local combined NHS healthcare, I think she was a social worker. When you're dealing with anything NHS, again, you're dealing with East Midlands Ambulance or any ambulance service. No disrespect to frontline services, by the way, individuals. We're dealing with key individuals that, via the medical NHS England contracted male GP, had labelled me with a label I don't have and ever been diagnosed with, or any signs or claim then. So I did a 9 documents of in contract law for rebuttal of everything then. So when you have this knowledge and you, all these years on, you suddenly find that all these is contracts, all of this your user's commodity, and you have this knowledge, and unfortunately they don't want you to be empowered, and they don't want you to have this knowledge to hold them accountable. and therefore they come after you. And what they've done to me was I just showed I've got the evidence of a hoist, all this, that and the other at the beginning of the stream. And it gets to such a point where then you're going to be blocked to offer goods and services in your lawful, reasonable adjustments the way you need it. So before I got so ill, and the way it all started 2017 to date is because of the National Housing Company. So that put me in that bracket where now it's anybody in my position or situation is like they will only fund to offer services if it's in statute law, adult safeguarding. And when I had to find out what all this meant, it all stings back to the documents I've got since March 2017, and when I did the 9 documents of full rebuttal. When you realise about contract law and how that works, you are rebutting assumptions about your character, your personal information, whatever said about you, by individuals working for private companies in their personal capacity, or whether it's public funded companies. So whatever subject it may be, if you don't do those rebuttals, and whether it's by email or post, it stands as fact on their records. So they can use that later on, which they have to do to date, as they've done again on the 17th of April 2018, 19 this year, getting confused now. So they can go and use that information, and that's been rebutted, by the way. But yet it claimed that I don't have this equipment in my home. Oh, I don't have this equipment in my home. Hello, I've got all these manuals. Oh, this is unreal. So, my arm's going, bear with me. Because reality check is the fact there's no funding available in the way we're meant to be offered choices and outcomes, in statute law as well. The cutbacks means just be aware of what may affect you personally and the implications onto other situations in your personal situation. So not one individual will be aware, most probably, of the financial implications. Who's going to help you pay for your things in your home, your gas, your electric, if you have prepaid meters, for example, your phone lines, your internet? Who's going to pay for the extra cost if you need to use your mobile data if you end up being decamped in your home? Who's going to help you pay for the extra cost if you end up temporary in a care placement? Where will that be? Out of your area where you live? Well, that will have implications in the first over 8 weeks, will have an implication on your housing benefit entitlement, because it can't pay for 2 places. That's how that all works, and it gets complicated. And I have to do this light. I might be able to put my main light on, so bear with me. I've got to watch the battery, so I'm low. So, the invitation is always about invitations and offers. You have a choice, I know, but I'm saying the worst scenario. Logically, you need to look at your health and safety. So, I'm limited. I can, the hallway in this bit, I can't access over that way, behind me. I need to negotiate around the corner into the bedroom. I can't access the shower. The wet room is a disaster, it's unsafe. So my bathroom stuff is stored behind me. And in my bedroom, it's just not ideal. When you're going through all this process of assessments, offers, the whole period of time, and this doesn't take a whole year. It doesn't take a whole year to claim that one is being offered assessments under the Care Act 2014, okay? In that process, when you suddenly find civil servants, we might need an up-to-date occupation therapy assessment. Well, I was always led to believe, and I've got documents and evidence and emails, etc., claiming it was just because of my reduction on my right shoulder and I'm struggling more because I have to bend. I have to bend to balance my arm now. I can't independently with my right arm just lift it up and do the usual things because all the reduction is from me when I got one over. But all the medications and that, the NADs and that I'm on, it doesn't hit all of this down here. And I've got no feeling in my hand and I've got no grip sensation. I can't feel my hand at all. And this is the only hand I can use. So when, I thank goodness there wasn't technology that you can scroll, and I was hoping that they could come up with some computer technology that could plug into your laptop or something or your phone and do talking and stuff for you and do your emails and things, because I need this operation. It's all a dental clearance, and I know I suffer a lot of bleeding and the complications of it. And that's another thing, I can't have the operation while I'm here. So there's only one option. It isn't an option. That's the only solution I can think of. And unfortunately, that is where the difficult process of change from here to where I know I need practically to be is going to be extremely difficult, not just practically, but on one's psychological well-being. So, in my opinion, when there is no offer of housing influence support, which I've been trying to get for a long, long time, what used to be offered years ago, the funding's cut. So every service that you may be or before perhaps been offered, you'll find now is not assisting, because the contracts, whether it's public via public source, public purse, nationally, locally, whatever it might be, via perhaps private companies, or they call themselves charities, may not be, is in my area is a major issue, because the gentleman I spoke to earlier today on this NHS matter, I said, if I did have, because have you got any housing floating support? I said, no, I used to. And they were very effective. And it's only now if you meet their tick box, you know? So if you have just one type of disability, you might meet that tick box. So you might, but you can't be referred to you can't be referred to multiple of services. It has to be just one. That's how the funding contracts work now in 2019 plus, and it's all online. So when I said to Blake today, I even tried an urgent matter to contact the general practitioner, GP, contractor at NHS England funded, female, and I got blocked to speak to her, and I was informed that she doesn't take any phone consultations anymore. She's my accountable GP. So I can't get access to services. And they refer me, oh, you can use the Dr. Link. What's Dr. Link? Back in March 2019, I found out, investigated about a limited company, private. And again, subcontract out the NHS funds to that company. And all you put your details in, your symptoms in. I said, well, it's no good if people, disabled people, or able-bodied people might have a crisis to use. But when you're multitude of situation you might have in your healthcare needs, he also I could hear, he absolutely just knew straight away from experience, what she's been referred to, what? It's like, it was my reaction last Thursday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I can't remember where I am now, the dates, but anyway, it was unbelievable. So I was trying to access it's two subjects. The medical records delay. It doesn't take a year, the breach of data protection statute act 2018, a year to respond to access my medical data. And and I had to find all this out on top of everything else, that the contract for NHS England funded medical practices, my area especially, the data controller is the practice manager. And she has blocked unlawfully, despite since June 2018 to date. My 3 typed letters my mate's done for me, reminders, recorded post, blocked to my own data, because that would have assisted me with the subject of person independence assessment, what extra medical evidence I could glean out of that data. Well, I didn't realise on 6th of June 2018, going through the Care Act assessment system, assessment offer, I didn't know the non-full disclosure, a certain individual in her job role at the time would gain access to all of my private life data, medical data. So I did a cease and desist to limit access to my data, but the Data Protection Department individual civil servant has not, and acknowledged that. Ego. And so what the hell? I don't think our data is private anyway, with all this selling off private data and with the AI computerized systems and the so-called smart this and smart this. Oh gosh, it's more like tracking your information. The business of making profit is about data as well, but your man, woman, individual, however you identify yourself as, we are living, breathing individuals, and we have lawful rights. So whatever your ill, palm in health, I wish you all best you can be. We're all short time on this earth. I've learned all this. So all the difficulties I'm going through now and still will go through while I'm still on this planet Earth. I'm just, from my experience, sharing information that might aid someone else, even if one individual that might aid them in their situation if they might be struggling. It's not a quick fix. Nope, there's not a solution still, but I know what I need to do, and I'm just preparing myself for this horrendous. It won't be that horrendous. It's just going to be a transition. It's going to be extremely difficult, and I just hope in goodness that these public service individuals in their job role, and I know who they're connected to and what's going on, other things behind the scenes, but that's for a subject another day. And I just hope to goodness that they'll be honourable, that I need things in the way I work. I need things in writing or an email, specific how things are, how long the times of advocacy service will be offered, not because what I went through last year and the cuts, what else is going to happen? And in this area is going to be 2 unity councils by 2021. So where does it fit people in my position? So I don't know. I can't work out the age group I'll be then by that period of time. But secure tenders are no longer available in statute law. It's only 5 years. And anything can happen between now and then. So I can't worry what's not happened yet. I can't change what's happened in the past. I can only deal with here and now. And that's all I'm going to focus on. So I will engage with these individuals as long as they can respect the fact that this is why I need this information and full disclosure. But this repair report it's a maintenance report. It isn't official. It's just a letter detailing what they need to do. Excuse me, I don't have a 1 year and 10 months waiting for one letter when this has been going round in a circle. So I'm not going to just give up on my lawful rights, but I have to be, in my opinion, only. No one else is. But my friends have helped me to see that I am going to move on, but I don't know how. In my physical disabilities, I'm not moved in this situation before. So what is available? And that's what I've been searching for, and to see how it can be done. And because I don't have the funds and means to hire a movable company or female with CPR checks, the funds to help pack things in and put things in storage while I'm in that transition period. Because if I can get this out of this National Housing Company to commit them and to offer compensation, and the way they can do it is fund for a storage company fund for another, say, a care company to bring carers in to help me pack all my belongings, to help me go through things, because my private life friends don't have the extra time for this. So if they want my home of secure tender and all this needs to be in place, but despite having a meeting, despite all this, like, let's have a meeting of all these agencies involved, adult safeguarding, it's all about funding still. It's a head department and managing directors of each department will have to go to their LDSS Law Limited, their lawyers or whatever, to work out, is it feasible on public funds to offer this, that and the other, because there have been many people in my situation as well. So I know of a place, there is still going to be the assessments of housing needs. I went through all this before. There's a lack of choice, and but I know on the longer term, the bigger picture for NHS, health, social care, housing subject, and everything combined with that in the United Kingdom, the support package of care, it needs to be tuned into your own personal situation. And the problem with all that is all to do with funds. It's all to do with cutbacks. And that implication is on your ability to feed yourself, to self-care, the risk of neglect. Neglect is not by yourself, or nobody's doing it to me, my friend's not doing it to me, but in the system, they got to cover themselves. So this is where the full rebuttal comes in. Anyone tries to go your character, say assumption, this, that, and the other. When you learn how to do basic rebuttal, to put the facts, have facts backed up, so therefore, when they collect your data on their system, they will be there. You have a right to correct any incorrections, so whatever you're dealing with. But it's difficult when your help is not in a good place and you need to be somewhere. But these individuals who are able-bodied, sometimes they don't have the experience in your situation. They need to have the awareness, surely. And that's why I'm just going to end this stream now. And just be aware, these teething problems can multitude to bigger problems. It's all to do with finance. It's all to do with contracts, no matter what subject you're dealing with. And at the end of the day, if they want your signature on their documentation, so be careful by the email system, how it works. I've had years of training and learning this knowledge for good people out there. And but now time is to cut, down the line, realize what I need, but now how do I go on to the next phrase and how things are going to be implemented and what and by who. And I need it in black and white, thank you, or pink or whatever colour, but it needs to be in that format. But there's other still things behind the scenes going on. I know that people are trying to do certain things in a different subject I can't cover right now, I haven't got enough time or the energy. But if you're able to do little things for yourself, your loved ones, your family, and natural help and natural remedies, and you learn that from your grandmum or your mum or your family members or friends, that will really help you. And I used to cover a while ago about the natural remedies and what works for me in my physical disabilities, what other things. My mum taught me a lot of things in lavender gel, and it really soothes and helps, calms you if you've got panic attack and anxiety or other things going on. It's not easy answer. The meditation, the music, and at that point, be careful about the targeting of vulnerable disabled people. It's going on because the cuts and people are turning against each other. I've had this shite kick off this weekend, just gone. And I've got audio evidence of every damn thing that happened. And it was so serious, it's unreal. But that individual, I don't want to, there's too much history in this block of flats. There's too much problems that's been going on. There's too much at me. I want a clean break, but it won't be that easy. But I psychologically, I'm trying to prepare myself with that. So just be aware how all this is business. I've not come across anyone in my situation that's able to be in this environment, for example. And the difficulty also, if you read Dutch and you have the ambulance service individuals trying to get me out in a stretcher or back home, it's so difficult. The design of the layout as well and the communal areas isn't ideal. So I know practically where I need to be. But all the specifics and the iron out all these details, I need that. And who's going to be able to fund what? And if you don't have your own funds, there isn't any grants. There isn't any spare funds available because everyone's struggling. So if you're living in a postcode area in England and you don't have a lot of this going on, you are absolutely, good luck to you. This area, unless your face fits or you don't have as much situation going on, you might just get what you need, because I know somebody around the corner that's really poorly. She is really poorly, but yet her mum kicks up fuss, and she's already got the funds in place by the NHS funding personal budget, and I'm still being blocked to that because it's not just straightforward. She's in a community. She's in her own flat as a house association. So, hello, and she gets around 24-hour care. So you don't need to introducialize people in my situation into these care establishments. You can provide the services in one's own home. So the first option would be that. But when you go out of your own home, even if it's I need confirmation, secure tender still in place, like I've done all this time before. But anyway, I've got to go. As I said, battery's low, got to end the stream. Just be aware of the NHS, everything combined together, privatisation already here, and this is reality how it affects many others, not just I. God bless, signing out UK.